Welcome to another episode where power meets scandal, and privacy takes a backseat to pure chaos. Today's headline story is a jaw-dropping saga from Equatorial Guinea involving a man known to some as African Diddy. Yes, you heard that right, Diddy, as in take that, but in a very different sense. We're talking about Baltar Engonga, a high-ranking official who seems to have turned his office into a soap opera of epic proportions. Here's the story. Baltar Engonga, aka African Diddy, is at the center of a scandal that sounds like something straight out of a reality show you didn't know you wanted, African Diddy's 400 tapes. And yes, that's 400 explicit videos, allegedly starring Baltar and an array of women. These recordings have not only leaked online, but they've sent shockwaves across the country. Let's break it down. First things first, let's meet the cast, shall we? We have Baltar himself, starring as the protagonist, or antagonist, depending on your perspective, in what seems to be his unauthorized docuseries. Then there are the many women reportedly featured, married women, his uncle's pregnant wife, his own brother's wives, and the pastor's wife. I mean, at this rate, he's on a mission to rewrite family gatherings as we know them. If you thought this saga was limited to private spaces, think again. The shooting locations read like the itinerary of a movie tour bus. We have scenes in his office, beach resorts, a few hotels, even bathrooms. It's as if the man decided to cross off every location on his how to get caught in a scandal bucket list. Now, these tapes didn't just leak on their own. Reportedly, Baltar was initially picked up on corruption charges, and boy, did the plot thicken. Upon his arrest, the security services confiscated his computer equipment and, lo and behold, stumbled upon a treasure trove of X-rated content. Imagine the officers expecting some budget reports or offshore account details, only to hit play and get that. It must have been like opening a folder labeled boring docs and finding the whole adult version of Netflix. Public reaction? Outrage doesn't even cover it. People are in shock, as you can imagine. These are videos involving wives, mothers, even someone's future child's aunt. This story is enough to make family gatherings awkward for the next 3 generations. It's also put a spotlight on the women involved, leading some to question not only their involvement but also their marriages. And for those wondering if Baltar took charming too far, the investigation doesn't stop there. The scandal has now brought up a new concern for authorities. Did African Diddy knowingly transmit any sexually transmitted diseases? Yes, the Attorney General's office is reportedly investigating whether he put these women, and potentially others, at risk by exposing them to STDs. And in case you thought it couldn't get worse, that would indeed qualify as a public health offense if he knowingly spread any infections. This whole episode has sparked a deeper conversation about privacy, ethics, and accountability. I mean, being a public official in itself is a serious responsibility, but this is next-level irresponsibility. People are asking, should a person in such a position be held to a higher standard, especially when it comes to moral integrity? Spoiler alert, the consensus is a resounding yes. But Baltar, it seems, was more interested in setting new records and how to sabotage one's career. And what about consequences? Calls for severe action are pouring in from all corners. Many citizens demand not only that Baltasar be removed from office permanently, but also face legal charges for his behavior, and perhaps even compensate the families affected. And while he might have viewed these interactions as private, the public clearly disagrees now that the curtain's been pulled back. Then there's a layer to this scandal that's stirring some unique questions. Why did so many of these women, most of them married, engage in these interactions? Some observers have suggested that the allure of being close to a powerful, influential man like Baltasar might have been overwhelming. But really, how much of this is about allure, and how much of it is about influence, or perhaps fear? For these women, it raises a broader societal question. How can women navigate professional spaces without compromising their personal ethics? Others say it points to a deeper issue in society about the responsibility each person has in situations like these. But one thing is clear, this incident is far from a private matter. It's become a debate about values, respect, and influence. Let's not forget, there's also a certain irony here. For a man accused of corruption, he sure kept a very detailed record of his own actions. When you think about it, he essentially built the case against himself. And folks, you know the old saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, it seems African Diddy missed that memo, because nothing stayed anywhere. In fact, it's now permanently online. So, what's the takeaway here? This saga teaches us a lot about responsibility, about accountability, and maybe even about the dangers of thinking you're untouchable. The fact that someone in such a high position could get involved in something like this, let alone document it, is a wake-up call. If there's one lesson here, it might just be this: never assume your actions will stay private, especially when they involve other people's wives, family, and personal lives. The scandal in Equatorial Guinea has left a massive stain on the public's trust for working wives, and people are anxiously watching to see what happens next. Will this case set a precedent? Will other public officials get a little more careful with their extracurricular activities? We'll be here to update you as this wild story unfolds. And on that note, thank you for tuning into our scandal breakdown. Just remember, if you're ever feeling a little too confident, maybe delete a few of those home videos or, don't make them in the first place. African Diddy learned the hard way, let's hope you don't have to. Please like, subscribe and share the video.